Once upon a time, your destination looked a little bit like every other destination. You had your must-see site, your iconic backdrop or attraction, and that notable event or dish. But all of these unique features failed to do one important thing: tell a unique story. For a destination like yours to truly stand out while embracing sustainability, it's time to double down on storytelling that empowers local people, supports social initiatives, and helps travelers become agents of change. Welcome to the workshop, What is Your Story? 3 untapped storytelling strategies. My name is JoAnna Haugen. I am the founder of Rooted, a solutions platform at the intersection of sustainable tourism, social impact, and storytelling. Today, I want to share with you 3 ways we currently use stories in the tourism context and opportunities for your destinations to use storytelling to create a powerful ripple effect that promotes a more sustainable future for tourism, the planet, and people all around the world. We will cover 3 specific and untapped strategies you can use to make your destination's stories more vibrant, interesting, and honest. I want you to walk away from this workshop with the following. I want you to be able to identify new ways to promote your destination's most unique qualities while also supporting sustainable development and empowering local people using storytelling. So let's just jump right into this. The first strategy we're going to visit today is uncovering untold stories by empowering local storytellers. So here's the problem. Right now, the stories being told by destinations are often told from the dominant culture's perspective. Too many destinations are relying on a sanitized version of the story that is comfortable and makes travelers feel good. But the problem with this is that it is inaccurately misrepresenting the people, culture, and history that have shaped a place, even if truthful and more accurate stories are uncomfortable. And the ripple effect of that is that these stories continue to silence those people who have been historically unheard. These stories are doing damage, and we can do a better job. So, our opportunity here is to begin to find, empower, and amplify diverse stories and storytellers within our destinations. So, what does this mean for you, the destination representative? First of all, you can begin promoting day tours and activities offered by the marginalized communities in your own destination. If you are looking for content to put on your website, consider creating themed itineraries for self-sufficient travelers that highlight untold histories or aspects of the culture, or some environmental or social or cultural challenges that your destination is facing. But most importantly, what this means is beginning to be transparent and honest when we share stories about our culture, traditions, and history on our websites and through our marketing materials. Because honestly, right now, we're not doing a very good job with that aspect of our storytelling. This also means being willing to embrace and celebrate diversity and complexity through our destination stories, even if those stories and our history are messy, uncomfortable, and complicated. This has a wide range of ripple effects. And the first thing to think about is this idea that travel is a force for good. So we often use this phrase in the travel and tourism context. And one of the really powerful things about tourism is that this is an opportunity for people to meet and connect with other people. And when people have the opportunity to have conversations and engage in interaction with people who are not like them, who are outside of their sanitized version of the world, we begin to create the conditions where people can find a sense of connection and shared humanity with people who they don't interact with on their in their day-to-day lives. And this is when travel truly can begin to step into this idea of being a force for good. This is also a really powerful opportunity to begin to engage domestic travelers and the people who live in our own communities in a really powerful way. Now, the people who live in your own neighborhood, in your own destination, they also have a story of that your destination is telling to the outside world. And chances are that the story that they know is also it's been packaged in a certain way. And this is a chance to really shake up and reshape that story that your local domestic travelers are telling. And this is a really powerful audience for your storytelling, because domestic travelers have a wide field of influence themselves with their family and friends and people who are coming to visit them. And domestic travelers are also providing an important source of financial stimulus in your own economy. Don't disregard the power of your domestic traveler. And when you can find new stories and storytellers to share your content with, this is an incredible opportunity for your destination. Finally, surfacing and amplifying the voices of diverse storytellers in your community is an opportunity to help promote sustainable development by distributing financial resources into potentially underserved parts of your community. And I want to underscore here that when we talk about finding these untold stories and empowering local storytellers, you as the destination are not just sharing these stories on your own will. You really are providing a platform for storytellers to tell their stories through you. And I think that's a very important a point to make, because we're not just co-opting somebody else's stories to sell to the wider public. What we're really doing here is lifting up people in our own communities who already have stories and are already doing a great job with the work that they're doing, and have an incredible and unheard perspective of our destinations, and giving them the platform to tell their own stories. So this really is about amplifying and empowering those storytellers. So here are a couple examples already in play of this strategy. Alabama's Road to Freedom is a 6-day self-guided itinerary that's available on the Tourism Board's website for self-sufficient travelers who are going to Alabama. Now, this itinerary is focused on Black history in the Southern United States, the Civil Rights Movement, and lifting up the history and voices of this very violent and racist and discriminatory history of Alabama. But this is amplifying these marginalized voices and providing travelers with a new way to think about this destination. And it's providing a more honest and accurate way to think about this destination as well. Vision Walks in Australia is an opportunity for travelers to go on bush tucker walks of discovery with local Aboriginal women. Again, a marginalized community that is being lifted up and given the opportunity to share its stories with travelers through the destination lens. So again, two examples here that are already in play around the world. Before we move on, what I want to offer to you is this opportunity. When you leave this presentation today, I would love you to begin brainstorming the unexpected storytellers in your destinations. Who are the people that have helped your destination develop its culture and traditions and customs? Who are the people that are not being heard? What communities have been routinely silenced? Begin making a list of who these storytellers might be, and then start developing an action plan to connect with them. Moving on to our second strategy, we want to support social impact initiatives. Here's the problem we're seeing in tourism today. Right now, travel is packaged as a pristine activity. Stories that destinations are sharing are comfortable and sanitized and predictable. Like we said earlier, they're a lot like every other destination story. But there are two problems with this. First, destinations themselves are not actually stories. And second, no destination is perfect or pristine. A couple years ago, the Travel Foundation published a really powerful resource called The Invisible Burden. And The Invisible Burden touched on all of the negative impacts that travelers and the tourism industry is having on destinations around the world. These environmental and sociocultural impacts, these invisible burdens, include things like water scarcity, commoditization of local culture, and marine degradation. And these challenges are being exacerbated by travelers when they visit destinations, but they do not know what they do not know. Travelers are given a sanitized version of the tourism story, and they might not even realize that they're causing harm. So, this story of tourism as a pristine activity and travel as this very comfortable and predictable and clean story is actually doing more harm than good. What I would like to suggest is that as destinations, we have an opportunity to promote local social impact initiatives and citizen science projects as opportunities for travelers. What does this mean for you, the destination representative? First, this means identifying local challenges. Yes, this is messy. Yes, this is not stuff that we want to be talking about in the tourism industry. We don't like to think about those dark corners that we don't want to visit. But we need to start identifying the problems that tourism is having on our communities. And then we need to begin identifying organizations that are addressing these challenges. Next, we need to start sharing the stories about these local challenges and the organizations and people who are the change makers in your community. And finally, we want to find ways for travelers to learn from, participate in, and support social impact work. Now, this is not you making up stories. You are not developing stories. This is uncovering stories that already exist and surfacing them and then sharing them within the tourism context. So you don't have to create any stories here. You are simply identifying the challenges and finding those organizations and change makers who are already doing the work. This is the story. The other thing that's really important to point out here is that these are not necessarily travel related initiatives. These are those initiatives that are addressing those challenges hidden in those dark corners of your community that make for compelling stories. As destinations, we need to stop hiding the challenges that tourism is exacerbating, and we need to turn these challenges into stories that highlight local solutions and change makers that travelers can support. This has a lot of this has an incredible ripple effect in your community. First of all, we talk a lot about tourism adding value to the Sustainable Development Goals, and tourism can add value. But what I would like to suggest is that we can actually have tourism be part of a community's fabric supporting sustainable development in general when we're sharing stories in the tourism context about local initiatives that are already addressing the SDGs. This is a very easy way to use tourism to support sustainable development in your community. Again, these initiatives already exist. It is just our job to help weave tourism into the fabric of our community so that travelers can support what is already taking place. And finally, when we are able to highlight these solutions developed at the community level, we offer an opportunity to help build community pride. And that, that goes beyond looking at the tourism lens and looking at the well-being of our communities that we are already promoting. We want to create healthy and safe and vibrant communities for the locals who live in the places that we are promoting to the travel world as a whole. So let's look at a couple examples of this that are already in practice. In India, Shiro's Hangout is a cafe run by acid attack survivors. Acid attacks are a social challenge in India, and this cafe is run by and supports and really brings to light the acid attack problem that India faces. This is not a tourism specific initiative, but what this is highlighting a problem and a social impact group that is addressing that problem. And this is an opportunity for travelers to visit. There's an opportunity for travelers to visit this cafe, to learn about this challenge, to support acid attack survivors, and take this story home with them. This is a really powerful story in a very meaningful way for travelers to support this social impact work. Invisible Cities is a social initiative in the United Kingdom offering city tours throughout England. These tours are offered by formerly homeless people. And of course, homelessness is a global problem. We find this in cities all over the world. Again, this is one of those issues that we're sweeping into the dark corners. We don't want to talk about homelessness. It's uncomfortable, it's icky, it's messy, it's complicated. It's not part of the tourism story. I would argue that there is an opportunity to empower people who are formerly homeless and to support initiatives like Invisible Cities so that we're talking about not only the challenge, but solutions that are being created to help address the challenge and giving travelers an opportunity to support that challenge. They're learning about homelessness and they're supporting this really powerful initiative that is supporting formerly homeless people. I want you to take with you this activity. Start listing the challenges that your destination currently faces. And yes, this means starting to look into those dark corners that we're hiding from. This can be hard work, but it's really important to do if we want to start telling a better story that is supporting our communities. Now think about what organizations or initiatives exist that are already addressing these challenges in your communities, and what opportunities exist to expose travelers to the work that these initiatives are already doing. Strategy number 3 is to engage travelers to become agents of change. So the problem that we have right now is that right now travel is used as a way for people to escape negativity in their lives. And tourism largely supports this. Again, travel is comfortable and predictable. People are going on holiday to escape the negativity in their lives. They're escaping the bad news and the stress and the chaos and all of those things that we feel weighted on our shoulders. We go on vacation to leave all of those things behind. And people don't want to think about anything negative when they're on holiday. They don't want bad news to follow them when they're going to the beach or when they're going to a new city for the first time for a nice weekend escape. So the problem with this is that the tourism industry is hiding that which is uncomfortable because we don't want to complicate things. We don't want travelers to feel negativity when they travel. But in an effort to avoid the negative for travelers, we put a happy face on travel experiences. Unfortunately, this is a veneer of happiness because even as travelers are escaping negativity in their own lives, they're having a negative impact on our destinations. Again, this is that invisible burden. So travelers are escaping the negativity in their lives, coming to our destination and having a negative impact while they're staying in their chosen destination. So travelers aren't actually engaged in their experiences in a way that is meaningful for your destination. We, as a tourism industry, are supporting this. This is exacerbating the problems and challenges in our own communities, and we're letting this happen. We have an opportunity here to use storytelling to invite travelers to grapple with and learn from the imperfect. What does this mean for you, the destination? First of all, I want you to take that last strategy of sharing stories of social initiatives that are turning challenges into solutions and begin to think of it in a slightly different way. We talk a lot about creating awareness and educating travelers in the tourism industry, but we need to go one step further to help travelers take action and make changes to their behavior in a way that not only supports a more sustainable visit in their destination during their holiday, but also creates a more sustainable way of living and being once travelers have returned home. Wow, we're talking about something really big here. We're talking about behavior change and a change in the way that people are thinking on their travels, so that when they return home, the ripple effects of this incredibly positive experience actually change the way they live their lives. This is a really powerful story. How can we, as the tourism industry, help travelers move beyond just having a nice holiday and instead engage in meaningful action in your destination? Now, to be clear, we aren't talking about doing work. Work has a negative connotation, and travelers aren't in your destination to work. They don't want to work. This is about finding those activities that travelers are already doing and already engaged in, and fully realizing these activities' full potential and helping travelers capitalize on that story. Again, these opportunities are already out there. The stories are already there, but we need to help fully realize those stories and bring them to their full potential so that your destination is helping travelers take their holiday to a whole different level that is powerful in their lives and truly meaningful in your destination. Now, I want to take a moment here to talk about this idea of negativity. Travel is a way to escape negativity in our lives. And the problem with negativity and thinking about negativity and bad news is that there is this feeling of defeat and doom and helplessness that comes with negativity. When we carry this story of negativity with us, we carry almost a sense of fatalism. Like it doesn't matter what we do because nothing we do can actually have any meaningful change. We have a really powerful opportunity to shift the thinking from negativity to optimism in the tourism industry. And this is an opportunity that isn't being fully realized. We can use storytelling to help travelers find a sense of hope and optimism and self-efficacy. And when we can help travelers find that sense of optimism and hope, we create the conditions that not only educate travelers, but activate behavior change. We need to find a way to get to turning negativity into positivity, helplessness to hopefulness. Here's how we're going to do that. And think about how powerful this truly is. If we can tell this story of hope, we're actually activating really meaningful change in travelers' lives. We're going to begin using compelling storytelling to help travelers become part of the solution rather than continuing to contribute to the problem. All those invisible burdens that they are a part of, we're going to help them become part of that solution so that they are no longer part of the problem. Now, if we can empower travelers in a way that encourages them to make changes in their own lives, this has really powerful ongoing ripple effects. This really is the trip that keeps on giving. Let's talk about some organizations that are already doing this as models. Plastic Whale is an organization in Amsterdam and actually is now operating in Rotterdam as well that gives travelers the opportunity to go plastic fishing in the canals. Now, when travelers travel with Plastic Whale and they're collecting plastics out of the canals, Plastic Whale isn't just giving an opportunity for travelers to have a glorified beach cleaning experience. They are sharing a message of hope and optimism. The message Plastic Whale is providing to its travelers is that plastic is valuable, and that when we start to think about plastic not as waste, but as something of value, we are less likely to just throw it away after we're done using it. It's not just garbage. It's something to be really mindful of in our lives. We shouldn't be throwing away plastics. We should be thinking mindfully about the plastics that we consume, that we buy, and that we use in our own lives. And we need to be thinking about what we're doing with those products when we're done with them. Now, Plastic Whale is not only sharing this story with its travelers, but it has put these practices into play itself. This plastic that travelers are collecting from the canals, Plastic Whale then it turns around and turns that into really high quality furniture. That is valuable. And that is a really powerful story that travelers who are participating in these fishing trips are taking home with them. In Australia, the Coral Nurture Program is a partnership between science and tourism to help that is using the wide range of tourism vessels on the Great Barrier Reef to help replant and monitor corals, plus use this opportunity to share knowledge about the Great Barrier Reef with visitors. So travelers are already going to be snorkeling and scuba diving on the Great Barrier Reef. This is taking advantage of all those tour guides who are very well versed in the Great Barrier Reef, utilizing their knowledge and their reach and the fact that they're out on the water every day to help replant and monitor coral and the coral bleaching problem in the Great Barrier Reef. And then also using that opportunity to educate the people who are traveling with them about coral bleaching and about how that has ripple effects with the climate emergency and what travelers can do in their own lives to help mitigate the coral bleaching and climate emergency problem. Again, travelers are already snorkeling and scuba diving. This is about taking that activity one step further and helping travelers tell a more powerful story once they've returned home. The tour operators are telling a more powerful story. They're giving that story to the traveler, who then takes that story home with them. And that has ongoing powerful changes in the behavior and thought patterns of travelers who have been part of this experience. That is really powerful stuff. And we as destinations are not doing enough to truly capitalize on these opportunities. So here's what I want you to do. Begin working with on-the-ground frontline service providers that have the opportunity to take that additional step to help engage travelers in a more meaningful way. Now, the second option I've provided here, the second activity, I haven't seen this, but I would love to hear if your company and your destination begins to implement a way to encourage travelers to continue their transformational story with a post-travel marketing campaign. Right now, a lot of destinations are very focused on capturing travelers with stories before they are visiting your destination. We want to get their attention. We want to get them to come. Once they're in your destination, mission achieved. Maybe we have stories that we're sharing while they're there. Too often, we are not continuing this story after travelers are leaving our destinations. And there is a very powerful opportunity to tap into that part of the customer journey. And I would love to see us do a better job of using these transformational opportunities to continue that storytelling process for the traveler. So as we walk away from this workshop today, I want to leave you with the following thought. Leaving thoughtful, creative, and locally focused storytelling out of the tourism equation leaves a valuable opportunity on the table. This is a win-win-win opportunity for destinations and the people who call the destinations home, for travelers, and for the tourism industry as a whole. Local residents win because they dictate what role tourism plays in their communities while leading with social initiatives that strengthen community development and address environmental and sociocultural issues. Travelers win because they have a chance to form a connection with locals and your destination in a highly personalized and unique way. They are also left with a message of self-efficacy, optimism, and hope, which creates the conditions for people to engage in their travel experiences in a more thoughtful and responsible way. And these conditions form the foundation of the traveler's story, which they are likely to share with others. This word-of-mouth marketing, which promotes travel as a partner in sustainable development, is invaluable for destinations just like yours. And that is a story worth telling. Thank you for participating and listening to this workshop today. I would like to thank Green Destinations for inviting me to be part of this conference. I would love to continue this conversation with you. If you begin to implement some of these strategies in your destination, I would love to hear about how that is going for you. Please feel free to reach out to me on social media. And again, thank you for taking this opportunity to learn about and begin implementing more powerful storytelling strategies in your destination.